When we hear the word cabaret today, many minds immediately conjure images of dimly lit clubs with entertainment and revelry. But centuries before cabaret became associated with nightlife, it represented something far more intimate and contemplative, a refined serving tradition that celebrated the art of pause and connection. I'm fascinated by the forgotten history of the cabaret as a serving vessel, a beautifully footed tray designed specifically for the elegant presentation of coffee, tea, and chocolate. This earlier incarnation of cabaret wasn't about spectacle, but rather about creating moments of mindfulness and connection within our daily rituals. The word cabaret comes from Old French, originally referring to a small chamber or room, but eventually describing a tray with compartments for serving food and drink. By the 17th and 18th centuries in Europe, the cabaret had evolved into something quite specific, an elegant footed tray, often made of silver, porcelain, or fine woods, designed to present hot beverages with all their accompanying accessories. These serving trays were works of art in themselves. A proper coffee cabaret would include spaces for a coffee pot, a sugar bowl, a cream pitcher, cups and saucers, and sometimes even a small container for discarded grounds. The tea cabarets might feature additional compartments for sliced lemon, honey, or specialized utensils. What's fascinating is how these objects transformed a simple art of consumption into a ritual of elegance. The cabaret elevated the serving of beverages into a ceremonial moment, one that invited pause, appreciation, and conversation. In our modern world of drive-through coffee and the go-to cups, we've lost something precious that the cabaret represents: the intentional pause. The cabaret wasn't merely functional, it was an invitation to stop, to be present, to engage with others or with one's own thought. The philosophy behind the cabaret aligns beautifully with modern movements toward mindfulness and slow living. It reminds us how we serve something matters just as much as what we serve. There's something deeply satisfying about preparing a cabaret. Unlike our modern habit of making a quick cup of coffee or tea almost unconsciously, the cabaret demands intention. First, you select the appropriate vessels, perhaps porcelain cups with saucers for an afternoon gathering, or small espresso cups for an after-dinner service. You arrange them precisely on the cabaret, considering both function and aesthetics. Then comes the preparation of the beverages themselves, whether grinding fresh coffee beans, measuring loose leaf tea, or melting fine chocolate for drinking chocolate. Each step is performed with care and attention. The sugar bowl is filled, cream is poured into its pitcher, perhaps small cookies or chocolates are arranged on a serving plate. Every element is considered not just for taste, but for the overall experience. And then comes the moment of presentation, carrying the cabaret into the room where it will be enjoyed, placing it in the center of a gathering or beside a comfortable chair, creating a focal point for what comes next. What I find most inspiring about the tradition of the cabaret is how accessible it is to incorporate into our modern lives. You don't need priceless antiques or formal training. You simply need to approach the serving of beverages with intentionality and care. Here are some ways to bring cabaret culture into your home. First, designate a tray specifically for serving beverages. It needn't be expensive. Even a simple wooden tray can be transformed with a beautiful cloth napkin. Second, invest in a few special serving pieces that bring you joy. Perhaps a teapot that feels good in your hands, cups that are pleasing to hold, or a sugar bowl that makes you smile. Third, create a ritual around your beverage service. Maybe it's Sunday morning coffee ritual, where phones are put away, or an afternoon tea break that signals a transition in your day. Fourth, consider the experience of those you're serving. What small touches might make their experience more delightful? A fresh flower, a beautiful spoon, or a handwritten note. Finally, embrace the pause. The cabaret tradition is fundamentally about slowing down, about creating a pocket of time that exists outside of the rush of productivity and obligations. What makes the cabaret tradition so enduring is how it engages all of our senses. There's the beautiful visual of the arrangement, the warm aroma of freshly brewed coffee or tea, the sound of liquid being poured into cups, the feel of warm porcelain in your hands, and of course, the taste of the beverage itself. This multi-sensory experience creates a deeper level of engagement with the moment. It's not just about consumption, it's about appreciation. In our increasingly digital world, these analog sensory experiences become even more precious. They ground us in our physical reality and connect us to ancient traditions of hospitality and care. While the cabaret can certainly enhance solitary moments of reflection, it truly shines as a centerpiece for connection. Throughout history, coffee houses and tea rooms have been incubators for intellectual exchange, creative collaboration, and social bonding. When we serve beverages from a cabaret in our homes, we're participating in this rich tradition of hospitality. We're creating a shared focal point for conversation and connections. Think of how differently a gathering unfolds when centered around a beautifully arranged cabaret versus a casual help yourself approach. The former creates a moment of collective pause and appreciation. It communicates care and consideration. Even in our families, the ritual of the cabaret can transform ordinary moments into memorable ones. Sunday morning hot chocolate served from a special tray, or an evening tisane prepared with care, these become touchstones in our shared life. While I deeply appreciate the historical tradition of the cabaret, I'm equally interested in how we can adapt the principles in our contemporary lives. The essence of the cabaret tradition isn't about frigid formality, it's about intentionality and presence. Modern interpretations might include a mindfulness tea cabaret where each element supports a practice of presence, perhaps a time were for steeping, a journal for reflection, and cups chosen for how they feel in the hand. A creative's cabaret, designed to support long sessions of writing or art making, with compartments for different types of stimulating or calming beverages depending upon the creative stage. A seasonal cabaret that changes with the rhythms of the year, perhaps featuring cooling infusions in summer and rich, warming brews in winter. The beauty of revisiting the cabaret tradition is that we can honor its essential qualities while adapting it to our unique lives and circumstances. If you're inspired to incorporate this tradition into your own life, I encourage you to start simply. Begin with what you have. Focus more on the intention behind the service than on acquiring perfect objects. Consider what moments in your day or week might benefit from the intentionality of the cabaret. Perhaps it's a weekend morning when you can slow down, or maybe it's creating a transition between work and evening relaxation. Experiment with different arrangements and elements until you find what feels meaningful to you. The beauty of personal rituals is that they can evolve as well. Remember that true luxury of the cabaret tradition isn't in expensive objects, it's in the luxury of time, attention. In a world that increasingly values speed and efficiency above all else, reviving the tradition of the cabaret offers a gentle resistance. It reminds us that some experiences shouldn't be rushed, that beauty matters in our daily lives, and that how we do things is often as important as what. The cabaret invites us to pause, to notice, to appreciate, and to connect. Whether serving others or creating a moment of solitude for ourselves, the intentionality of the cabaret transforms ordinary moments into extraordinary ones. So the next time you prepare coffee, tea, or chocolate, consider how you might incorporate elements of the cabaret tradition. Arrange your serving pieces with care. Present them thoughtfully, and most importantly, allow yourself the luxury of time to fully experience the moment. In doing so, you're not just serving a beverage, you're participating in a centuries old tradition that celebrates the art of living well. Thank you for joining me in exploring this forgotten aspect of the cabaret. I hope it inspires you to create your own moments of beauty and pause in your daily life.